Hey, long time no see. It's been a while since I have posted on here, or if anything, really posted my art anywhere. I have been sorta active on Tumblr, but again, I just been busy. So busy, in fact, that I've actually spent a lot of time working on new OCs. My last video was kind of centered around them, but if I'm being completely honest, I'm not that proud of that video because of the fact of their story just wasn't really what I wanted for them. I felt as if there was a lot of concepts that I wanted to include for the characters, however, it just wasn't a fit for them. So instead, I decided to completely abandon them. Okay, abandon may be the wrong choice of words. I decided to keep their original designs the same because I can say at the moment I still really like the designs I made for Aaliyah and Myra. However, I decided to focus on some different characters that definitely needed some tender love and care. And that specific character is my OC, Tala. Now, Tala is actually a My Hero Academia OC from like 2020. And to be honest, I don't know why I'm so attached to her, especially since the only type of fan art I've ever done for her was 2 years later in some throwaway sketchbook that has been lost to time that I recently dug up after coming home from college. But she's actually the reason why I decided to make the video topic this in the first place. And that has to do with self-inserts in Mary Sue's and the whole shebang about fan OCs. Now, to be fair to myself, Tala wasn't a fan insert at all. Like, me and Tala aren't the same ethnicity. However, she was birthed out of a long line of My Hero OCs. Some of them, which I hold very dear, especially a particular one. However, to some people, apparently having fan characters can be seen as cringe. Now, I'm not really interested in divulging into people's opinions on fan characters or problematic self-insert artists in the past. That's not really what I'm here for. What I'm more so here for is to actually advocate for fan OCs and even self-inserts. According to Wikipedia, which is 100% known for its very true information, self-insertion is a literary device in which the author writes themselves into the story under the guise of, or from the perspective of, a fictional character. The character, overtly or otherwise, behaves like, has the personality of, and may be described as physically resembling the author of the work. Now, obviously, this is more so for the author themselves, and in the case of My Hero Academia, Horikoshi inserts himself through Aizawa, more so in physical appearance. For fans, this can be the same definition. Instead of inserting themselves in their own work, they insert themselves in their favorite pieces of media. And I love that. I know a lot of people have criticisms of how a lot of fan OCs or self-inserts tend to be poorly written or don't reflect the real person at all, but in my opinion, I feel like it's a great exercise that allows you to build off of a pre-existing world and create the character that you want to. And that's the case for my OC Tala. Now, Tala is a My Hero Academia OC. She wasn't necessarily a self-insert because I personally was really bad at making them. However, I will say that she represented aspects of myself that I wanted to be. She was super extroverted and outgoing, intelligent, and was friendly with a lot of people. If anything, I think back upon this first version as Tala as being some sort of variation of a Mary Sue. Now, personally, I don't really like that word. I feel like people have made Mary Sue's inadvertently, especially when they're first starting out in making OCs. And basically, a Mary Sue is a character with no flaws. And essentially, Tala did not have any. And as I go through this redesign, I don't really spend a lot of time necessarily being able to fully flesh out her story. But for one, I have plucked Tala out of the My Hero Academia cinematic universe and have placed her in a more fantasy-like world. I really like the idea of her quirk, especially the ties it had to her name. So instead, I decided to keep her powers and make her more of a wizard instead. I will say that this story isn't as fully fleshed out as I would like it to be, but it does have more basis and reality, so it does give me a starting off point. In my original writing of Tala, she is Filipino, with her name based off of the goddess of stars Tala, which I thought was super cute, and I took a lot of inspiration of that. Currently, I have Tala situated on an island that is kind of similar to the Philippines, however with more magical elements, and I'm not sure if I want to take the route of keeping the name the same or just having the culture inspired by it, but I do know I want to keep that cultural aspect to it. As far as her story, I was thinking of placing Tala to be a little bit older. The way I envision her is around college age, and I still feel like she holds herself to a very hard regard, but instead of being more of a gifted student, I more so see her as very hardworking and almost like a workaholic at this point. She's still very friendly, I would say, however, becomes more closed off with the people around her, especially her family, as she throws herself headfirst into her studies. You might have noticed I have deviated from her original bare bones personality. Before, Tala, despite being nice and sweet, was just boring. And I feel like that was one of the main issues that I struggled with and still sometimes struggle with in making OCs. I should point out that the Mary Sue type characters aren't always demon overlords with a million boyfriends and everyone is jealous of her. She can also breathe fire but only weighs 1 pound and her waist is 0 centimeters. They can just be so perfect that they're boring. And guess what? Both of these characters, although one doesn't make for a great story, and I'm not talking about the breathing fire, are completely valid. A lot of OCs are just experimentation, kind of like what I'm doing with Tala. Right now, due to her workaholic nature, her mentor at university had advised her to take a gap year in re-examining her studies. In the school, students declare their major based on their specific study, so it's basically concentrations, I guess. I don't really know. I don't really have an exact word for Tala's, but I feel like it would be in the realm of quality of life on coastal islands and villages, and basically using magic to help in resources, to combat food insecurity and further prevent natural disasters by helping restore the land through healing magic and allowing crops to grow at a faster rate so it can better build reserves and feeding the people in case disaster does strike. Where she kind of runs into issues though is that she kind of has a lack of control on her magic ability. So I was taking the idea I've had of her being super gifted is that she has a lot of potential, however the execution for it is a little not great. I have this one instance where she tries to help a local farmer near her school, which by the way, I decided that I wanted to make the school be separate from her island. It's in a different part of the world basically. I don't know how I'm gonna base it. I don't feel like making it based off of the real world. That's a lot of traveling, okay? I don't want to think that hard right now. But I feel like she tries to help and it ends up going wrong, where she had the project of helping a farmer's corn grow faster, and instead she makes just a giant stalk of corn, a large size piece of corn. And I should also mention another kind of social issue that she kind of faces is that her village that she lives with back home is old-fashioned in the way that magic isn't necessarily that ingrained in them. I don't want to say magic is new wave, however I feel as if the way they use magic it doesn't really exist there. Or so it seems. But I'm getting a little too ahead of myself. And also, like, the older residents kind of have an aversion to magic. It's kind of like iPhones, except it's not. I don't know. It sounds a little confusing, but once I sit down and actually write it, it's gonna make some sense. And I've also focused on the fact that it's during her gap year that she actually encounters the other OC that I have not mentioned at all, Palamon. That's not how you say it. I don't know. By the time I'm recording this, I am so tired. If I said it wrong, I'm so sorry. He has a different name throughout the story anyways, but yet he is based around the Greek god who was like known to protect sailors and fishermen. And there's a reason for that. One, because I didn't want to base him around Poseidon, because I felt like I don't know, I felt lame, okay? There's nothing wrong with naming your OC Poseidon, but I just didn't want to do that. But long story short, they end up meeting because he like knocks on her door for some reason, plot reasons, I don't know, and he ends up passing out, and against her better judgment, she just lets him in her house, which, don't do that. Hello? Like, I need my characters to be a little dumb, okay? I'm aware some stuff it'll have better reasoning, but right now they sound a little stupid. But once he does wake up, he has no clue that he's a god or what his name is. And so another like character interaction, whatnot, again, no spoilers, he ends up choosing the name Louis because which I'll tell you this tidbit is that Tala chooses it because it reminds her of his like love interest from a northern book she read, which the region I'm thinking of is like French, which I kind of want a place that's where she goes to school in. And I don't know, I have a lot of ideas swirling in my head, but I'm also like insane. So that is the very like TLDR version of these two. I know I don't really get into like Louis Palamon, the fish guy, okay, the green fish guy story, and I know it's gonna clickbait because I low-key put him in the thumbnail, but I'ma just let it fly, okay? Well, all of that is to say that a lot of these ideas originate from media I've like initially just consumed. Like, I'm really into Delicious and Dungeon right now, Fields of Mystria, Goated, and also one of my all-time favorite animes is Little Witch Academia. It was actually the first anime I ever watched. And with all of these media, even including My Hero Academia and my weird self-insert OCs, I feel like she could exist in any of these works, and that's why kind of making fan characters or allowing yourself to be a little cringe can go a very long way in making characters in OCs. And I know I haven't said a single word about the second speed paint, but all I want to say is that like I am super proud of how it turned out, because number one, I don't want to get too much into what's been going on. Nothing bad has been happening in my life. However, I actually recently got back into traditional art and like actually drawing, and I've been having a blast, man. That's all I'm really focused on, if I'm being honest. You should be too. Thank you so much for watching this video. I may make another video before the new year. After that though, I can't really promise consistency. I've been home for a while actually, but it's been so long for me to like sit down and actually think of like video ideas because I'm lazy. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.